distinguished guests and speakers. Welcome to the Blockchain, the New Infrastructure of AI Summit. This summit is hosted by public blockchain company Bottos and the Silicon Valley Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum. Today, we have gathered experts, investors, and entrepreneurs from both China and the US to exchange their knowledge and share insights on the integration of blockchain and artificial intelligence. I guarantee that you will have a very good experience and happy with the knowledge you take away with. My name is Yang Yi. I'm very honored to be here. I'm your MC today. The videos just you're watching gave you a basic idea of Bottos. Bottos is a public blockchain specifically designed to support the development of AI project. It offers decentralized data marketplace, model marketplace, storage sharing network, computing powering sharing network, and token management for AI projects. Bottos aims to use blockchain as a new infrastructure for AI development and accelerate the era of AI. You can follow Bottos on Twitter at Bottos AI and Telegram at Bottos Global. Of course, you are a WeChat user. Feel free to scan the QR code shown on the screen to follow Bottos' official WeChat account. Silicon Valley Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum is the largest international high-tech and venture capital service platform designed to foster innovation and promote business partnership between China and the US. SVIEF brings together professionals and experts from the fields of government, high-tech, cooperation, and investment in both China and the US to provide a platform for the exchange of talents, technology, and capital. What's more, in March 30th, SVIEF is hosting the second Shenzhen Innovation and Entrepreneurship Competition in Santa Clara Convention Center. There will be 20 pre-selected startup teams to pitch their business on stage. For more information, I think you can ask our staff at the registration table. Okay, so next, I think it's time for us to welcome our first speaker on our stage. The first one is, let's welcome Mr. Xin Song, the CEO of Bottos. His topic today is how blockchain could build the new infrastructure of AI. Welcome.
Thanks, Yang. Thanks for coming, everyone. First, I would like to say that I really like this mic. It makes my voice so shining and sexy. Okay. Okay. So I think for many, for a long time, the AI and the blockchain have been the hottest topics for the industries and the tech sectors and the research institutions for a long time. So thank you very much for coming to this event. So that gives opportunities to talk about what both of things, how the AI and the blockchains can connect together, and what the Bottos product is, and how we offer the AIs, that how we can use the technology of the blockchain to help AIs to move forward. Yeah, so that's today's topic. So first I will talk about the AI and the blockchain, and then I will talk about some of the highlights of Bottos, and then I will hand over to the other speakers to talk about their understanding of the AI and the blockchains, and I hope everybody can find what you really need today from this event. Okay, thank you very much. So next up. Okay, so you just for those who that you don't know Bottos very good, because this is the first time for you to know Bottos. What we're trying to do is we're trying to help the AIs to overcome the three challenges of the AI development factors: the computing power, algorithm, and the data. For those who you know Bottos for a little bit, you know that Bottos originally from we try to build the data marketplace to help the AI companies to get the model training data. So that's where we came from last year, and recently we expand our project scope to help the computing power and the algorithm as well. So yeah, so that's the challenges we try to overcome. So for the AI development, there are three factors that's very important, and if you believe AI is the future, that the AI needs to overcome those three challenges. For the computing powers, it has been dramatically improved over the past years, especially you have more and more cloud service right now, so it's just a matter of the cost of this part. Computing power, generally speaking, represents 20% roughly of the cost of the AI development. So, and for algorithm, it's more and more open sourced right now. So it's not a very difficult part for a team to build a new algorithm to apply this new knowledge and to build a model. But it's just there's no open market for this algorithm and models to help the models and the developers and the users to communicate and distribute with each other. And for the data is the most important part. We think that to make AIs to not implement it fully to reach the real AI era. So you cannot build any, you cannot commercialize any real AI products based on a lot of data, based on a rich amount of the data. So without the data, that you actually cannot say that this AI model can be used in the real world. So that's what we try to do. So how can we help? How can we help? We think blockchain can help a lot. Combine blockchain to AI can actually help the AIs to overcome those challenges and to commercialize quickly. Okay, so for this blockchain as a new infrastructure of AI, many people are talking about how blockchain can help AIs and how AIs can help blockchains. There are many topics over there. I would like to pick only three parts of there. It's based on what Bottos understands. So for one, how blockchain can help AIs is that from the technology point of view, blockchain is a decentralized, immutable data transaction ledger that you can record any transactions, any data there, and to make a trusted environment. So that can help the AIs and the data to get the clear ownership and your identifications. So make it more safe for AIs and to help the AIs to build further progress. So that's one from technology point of view. And the second is the blockchains run at the operation model of the blockchain projects. The successful blockchain projects, they all has the community operation model. So every blockchain project is trying to build a community rather than spend a lot of money on the marketing expense, like the traditional technology companies to get the users. And blockchain using the other approach, it's not by just spending the money, but to make everybody believes this project is useful and valuable. To try to build a community. I think this operation model is really helpful for the AI companies as well, to build the AI communities to help the AI models to progress. And third is I think one of the most important part of the blockchain is that the token incentives that provided for the communities and the users for the AIs, for both AIs and the blockchain products. So give you the incentives to give you the token that with more and more users to use this product and this blockchain product and the AI product. So the token value in future will appreciate. So it will encourage people to share your resources. It's either data or computing power or storage network and whatever the project requires and can be incentivized by the token economy. So yeah, those are the three parts that blockchain can really help AI. And that's why Bottos would like to build certain platforms based on blockchain technologies to help AIs. Okay, so what is Bottos? It's the second part of this presentation. What is Bottos? I will repeat this a couple of times, so I will make sure that everybody, when you leave this room, you remember what Bottos really is. So Bottos is, first, it's a public blockchain. It's not just the apps based on other public blockchain. Bottos is a new public blockchain specifically designed for AIs, to support the AI development. Okay, so in addition to a public blockchain, so can offer the AIs and other developers to build the dApps based on this Bottos, and we offer data marketplace, model marketplace, storage sharing network, as well as the computing power sharing network, and also support the token generation for AIs. So what AIs requires, what AI really need from blockchain, you can find it from Bottos. So that is Bottos. Okay, so this graph is give you a brief understanding of how Bottos runs. So at the bottom, this is the public chain. You can find the consensus method, the P2P network, the basic chains over here. And the second layer is the service layer. You can find the storage management, identity management, token management, and the trust and reputation, the credit system, the model service over there. And on the upper level, the layer 3 is the apps levels. So AIs and other developers can build their dApps based on the service level and the public blockchain, as well as the 4 by default market and network that the AIs can use directly to find your resources. It's from data, your market, computing power, and the data storage. Okay, so this is the structure of Bottos. And then I will talk about a couple highlights of Bottos products. Then I will give you a short video of Bottos product version 2.0. It will be released by the end of this month. So on April, so everybody can try the Bottos 2.0 product in the net. And we have our mainnet version 3.0 released by the end of May. At that time, the new version of the public blockchain of Bottos chain will be released. So more functions will be available at that time. So all the highlights I talk about here is about Bottos as all. It's not just about version 2.0. So, so first, I think Bottos is the first public blockchain specifically designed for AIs. Okay, so the purpose for this is we want that all the related entities and parties of the AI industries, it's either from AI companies, the model developers, research institutions, and data providers, and anybody who want to contribute your resources into the AIs, then you can find everything you need in Bottos. And it actually have the circle. You can use all the resources here to help the AI models to progress. Yeah, so let's take example. If you have AI models, you need to find the cheaper computing powers. You need to calculate and compute your algorithm. Then you need to find a place to store your data, and you find the right data to train your models. Then you need a marketplace to distribute your models to the market, to find the users, and to communicate with other companies and whatever. So you can find everything here. You can. That's the purpose of Bottos. So that's one. And the second, it's also we first to get this concept of for the AI models, you can issue the tokens, but this tokens has the value in future to exchange the data right now to train the models. So we call it the data token contract concept. So yeah, the basic idea is you issue a token to exchange the data to train your model. And in the future, you can sell your tokens, and the people who contribute the data at the current stage will capitalize their asset, the data asset in future. So that's the concept. Along with that, so all data-related service, you can find it from Bottos. Data asset registration, asset exchange, asset claim, and asset collection, and data certifications. It's more efficient because it's decentralized. So many people can conduct one service. We can divide it into pieces, and then many people in the community can do it at the same time. So it's more efficient. It's also more economic because without a centralized organization or platform to perform everything in one place, you reduce the overhead and a lot of the other expenses. So decentralized always means more economic. So that's the highlight two, the data part. And the three is the data mining concept and the smart storages. What does this mean? It means that because we talked about this before, and I believe most of the people in the room will believe that the data is the most important part for the AI development. So as long as you can have the sufficient data, then you can train the models and you can get the model ready to use. So you need to encourage people to contribute their data. So you have different nodes to store different kind of data. The small data stored in the small nodes, and the big data companies actually they can join Bottos network as an individual node to provide both the data to train the model, and as well as the data storage space for other AIs to store their data. So the concept of this, the data mining, is the more data you contribute, the more data storage you contribute, the more you will receive. So everybody in this graph, so everybody who run and own a node in Bottos network will be rewarded by the tokens. And with more and more users in Bottos, and the token help you capitalize your data asset and your data storage space asset. So this is the highlight 3. Highlight 4 is the multi-token system. So we just introduced that there are 4 by default markets in Bottos. The data marketplace, model marketplace, and the data storage sharing network, and computing power sharing network. So they have their own token to exchange the values in their individual market. And each AI model, you can issue the AI token based on Bottos chain, and other developers can issue their token by developing your own dApps. So the many tokens in the Bottos ecosystems, and there's a base token in the center can exchange the value in between all the tokens. But at the meantime, every token just is used in their own market or their own use cases. They don't affect each other, so they have a less volatility in terms of the market effects. Okay. And in addition to that, so every news owners will receive the interest token by holding various tokens. So the more you hold the token, and the longer time you hold the token, and the more interest token you will receive. So that's the multi-token systems of Bottos. The next highlight is the dynamic node management. It's a more flexible node management system. So what does that mean? So it means that for each of the nodes in the Bottos network, it's not necessary for every node to have the full functions. So we divide the functions of the node to many aspects. For example, the data transactions, data clean, storage, computing powers, and other nodes functions. So every node you can choose which functions in the combination that you would like to perform. It's not necessary to have every node to be a full transaction nodes. So what's the benefit of this is it provides a more flexible news management system. So it lowers the entry barrier for node management and node ownership. So maybe everybody in this room, you can be an individual node of Bottos network by using your own laptop or computer in your home. So that's the node management system of Bottos. And the last one, this one is simple. So just the deployment of the apps is very simple and express. We have all kinds of APIs you can use. You don't have to code. You don't have to code the blockchain coding. You don't have to write code to issue your own token. You don't have to write your contract code. You don't have to write your service registration code. You can just use all the APIs we have. Just really quick and express way for you to deploy your apps. Okay, so so those are the highlights of the Bottos product. I hope everybody is excited about that. So at the end, I would like to mention that what Bottos can do for the AIs is not only just from what I just mentioned, that the data marketplace and the sharing network we provide from the apps and the token management, the technologies, the apps, the applications and service we provide. We also can provide a technical support for you, for the AI companies, if you want to explore the opportunities to connect the AI and blockchain. We also help you to marketing yourself if you would like to issue your own token and you want to sell your token to your future users. And we also provide seed investment to the good AI projects which have a good future. Yeah, so that's what Bottos offer as a whole package, and our target is to use blockchain technology to be the infrastructure of the AI and to build a new AI ecosystem. Okay, so welcome everybody to follow us on the Telegram and Twitter. And next, we will have a 2-minute short video for you to. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video. As I mentioned before, that version 2.0 Bottos will be released at the end of this month, and the 3.0 will be released at the end of May. Welcome to follow us. Any questions? I will be around, so ask me questions, and so we hand it over to the next speakers. And I really hope everybody can enjoy to this discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. 接下来我们要非常荣幸的有请到下面这位嘉宾。Next speaker is Dr. Jun Wu, the founding partner of the Amino Capital. His topic is how blockchain technology revolutionized the social relationship of production. Let's welcome him.
If you can hear me from the back, please raise your hand. All right, thank you. So, this one? Oh, this one, okay. Okay, so I'm Jun Wu, partner of Amino Capital. So I'm very happy to share my thoughts on blockchain with you today. So what will happen in the future in the world? So I would say this is a picture of the future world. So everything is connected. It's like a very misty because there are so many connections. And what's the important thing behind? I think there are three things are very important. Number one, artificial intelligence. I would say more like just use the term as machine intelligence. So it's like the brain of future world, future city. And so it's basically similar to our brain. And we need eyes, we need sensors, we need hands. So it's IoT, Internet of Things. There are lots of small devices which they are sensors, and they can get all information and send to machine intelligence to process the information. And what else? There must be some nerve system. It will be actually one possibility will be blockchain. I shouldn't say there isn't other possibility, but blockchain is one possibility. If you put them together, we get a super smart city, super smart world in the future. So that's the relation. I would think these three new technologies. And with the help of Internet of Things and blockchain, we can track almost everything and all transactions. Why tracking is so important? Because there are many problems has to be solved using tracking technology. Give you a concrete example. If you go to a drugstore, small drugstore on the street in China, and you purchase some medication, you got about 1/5 of chance to get counterfeit drug. Unbelievable, right? Nobody wants this happen, but nobody can prevent from that because nobody knows. If you purchase a box of medication like this size, you don't know where it comes from. It's really hard to track. And one possibility is just use blockchain because it has a very good property, can solve this problem. We also want to track transactions. If somebody stole your money from your account and use some maybe money laundering system, move it to some other foreign countries, you will never get your money back. But in theory, that money can be tracked so that you know where that money is, and you should get it back. And this can be done using blockchain. And also in healthcare, we need to track some numbers of our body, like blood pressure and cholesterol level and everything. And more important, to track metabolism of every cells of our body, so that whenever our body has some disease, we know what happened, what caused the disease, and what is the possible solution to cure this problem. But we don't have any tracking system inside our body. On the contrary, I don't know whether you know that almost every jet engine produced today has about 1,000 sensors inside. 1,000, just think about it. Every day it generates more than 1 gigabyte of data. So all these sensors monitor like the temperature, moisture, the speed of engine, everything. So when the engine has a problem, and it's very easy to detect where is the problem and to solve it. But ourselves don't have this sensor, so need some system to track the metabolism of our body. This is another one. And then why use blockchain instead of existing technologies? Well, we can solve this problem using existing technology, but we have to save all the data in these IT giants, like in Facebook or Amazon. So if you save your data in Facebook, you're probably very unfortunate. Okay, and also if you have all your data in Amazon, you are very easy to face the problem of price discrimination. So every time I purchase a book from Amazon, and my daughter purchases it from Massachusetts, a different location, different IP address, she got probably $1 or $2 cheaper than I do. And so I asked one of my friends, a senior director in Amazon, so why this happened? And he asked me, why should we give you the same price? So that's a problem, right? And why blockchain can solve this problem? What is blockchain? If you think blockchain is just like ourselves, when we were born, we have our own DNA, which is different from anybody else. So your DNA is different from everybody else. And you are given a name. So sometimes your name is a tag which want to tell difference about Iris and me, for example. But our DNA are definitely different. Everybody can see you, but nobody can detect whether it is she or whether it is Hui Jun, but nobody can change their DNA. So that's the beauty of blockchain. Whenever it's created, you can see it, you can detect whether it is true or not, but you cannot change it. And then, for example, if you make a pill of medication, and it has its own DNA, or you can say block inside, and you cannot change it. And you can track whether this is an original drug or a counterfeit one. So this is the beauty. And the second, it has a chain to track all the transactions related to that entity. That means when when you're born and you grow up from a baby and you went to school and you work long and you will get retired in the future, move from one place to another, there's a chain which can track all your activity, which is beautiful. And if I want to ask a question, say, what happens to this guy 20 years ago? I can very easily to know it. And I want to say whether this lady went to somewhere, maybe, I don't know, in Brazil, which has some diseases. So she need to be taken care of for maybe 1 week. I can easily get this information. And more important, I even don't need to see her face. I can just verify whether it's true or not. I don't need to know the privacy of herself. I just want to ask a question. So the beauty of blockchain actually is, I would say, is asymmetric. Okay. In the past, you had to know this entity before you can ask it lots of questions, whether it has this feature or that feature, whether this has a high value or low value. But in blockchain, you don't need to. So it gives people lots of privacy. And there's also a potential advantage, but just a potential lower cost in the future, but not today. What's the potential use of blockchain today? ICO is one. Because if you remember that the emergence of currency, the money, actually the purpose is just make a record to say, well, whether I borrowed maybe in the past, like 3 cows from him, and he promised to give it back to me, so I make a record. So that's the origin of currency and money. So back to about 4,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. But actually, if you just want to make a record and write down this transaction, ICO is another solution. And it's not controlled by any central bank. It's controlled by us. Fundraising is another one. And many people, well, in the past, you borrow loan from banks. And today, you issue some stocks, and people invest to get a share of your company. And in the future, many maybe small investors can purchase your coin so that they make some contribution to you, and you share benefit with them in the future. So it's another tool. Smart contract is another. So suppose we have a contract to build a building for Stanford University, and I need, I signed a contract with Stanford. I need to get to borrow money from a bank. Today, bank asks me to show the contract to them before they can trust on me. But in the future, then I have to give them all financial details and the business secret to the banks. In the future, they can just verify whether this contract is true or faked. That's it. And if it's true, they know that Stanford eventually will pay me the money, and they feel very comfortable to lend the money to me. So that would be a smart contract. Property registration to register your car by blockchain, that would be very easy. And the gambling definitely is a good application. And just say it's related to contracts. Smart contracts is really important, and more important, if Stanford pay me the money, and with some conditions, say with the contract, that money, a portion of money has to be paid back to the bank, to Citibank, and then I cannot use money for other purpose. So it's well defined. When the blockchain is created, nobody can change it, and that flow is very natural. So it solves lots of financial problems and reduce the risk significantly. And also, definitely very easy to track the delivery and the usage of goods. For example, our government today don't allow any company to sell like the jet engine and or supercomputer to North Korea or to Iran. But if they sold it to some dealer from maybe overseas, I don't know in which country, and that dealers sell those computers and the jet engine to North Korea, we don't know. We cannot track today. There's no way for us to track. But in the future, when it's created, it has a blockchain inside, we can do it very easily. So that's another application. Okay. Who purchased Bitcoin? Why Bitcoin? Today, I think it's about $8,000, and the top is almost 20,000. The first wave actually is supported by Chinese anti. Do you know these guys? Chinese anti. They purchase like gold. I don't know, whatever it is, has the potential. They even don't know the value. They just purchase that and push the price up. So the price of Bitcoin stay pretty stable for about a couple of years, below 200, and suddenly jumped to 2,000. And thanks to them. But they just pushed the price to 2,000. Who pushes it even higher? Some underground banks, like money laundering. That's the basically usage. And who else? And then the price of Bitcoin stay for about a couple of thousand for a while, and then go to more than 10,000. So there are some believers who believe that ICO instead of US dollar will be the money, the currency in the future. Those believers, like they believe ICO just like we believe in God. Well, there's no reason. They just believe in that, and they support the price today. So there's no certain group of people who purchase ICO. The many people in the world, they are just believers. So then the question is, what's the usage? Because if you just believe in that, well, there must be some usage before the value can be realized. One thing I can see is actually blockchain eventually will change our relation in the world and in production. So today, if I suppose I'm a boss of a company, I hire somebody, so I pay them salary to accomplish some work. So that's basically relation. And it's quite hard. We hire maybe 10 people. It's quite hard to track and measure their contribution. And suppose our company grow bigger, so the first group of customers, maybe the first 100 customers, they really help the growth of our company. So eventually we may have 1 million companies, 1 million customers. But first 100 are very important. We don't know, we cannot award their contribution. Today they just pay the same price as the number 1 customer and the number 100 million customer. They pay the same price for our service. It's not very fair, but we have no way to track their contribution. And in the future, I would say blockchain is a very good tool, not only to track the contribution of everybody inside the company, the employee, but also our customers, so that we can award them when our business grow bigger and it's more fair. That's something I can think of. And so because of the time, and I probably make a very quick from here. So today, I would say Ethereum is the second generation of blockchain. So it's already the second generation. The first generation, Bitcoin. To me, the actually contribution of Bitcoin to this society, to blockchain, is to bring in many scientists, mathematicians to this world so that it solves lots of problems. Because Bitcoin still has lots of problems. And we have Ethereum. It's more like a platform. If you think Facebook about maybe 12 years back, okay, it's still not as big as it today. It's a platform. Facebook is a platform. You can think it's a social network, but to me it's more like a platform. And you can redevelop your application based on that platform. So that's the beauty of Facebook. And that's also the beauty of Ethereum. It's a platform, and you can redevelop your own blockchain application based on that. In Bitcoin, you cannot do anything. Well, you can purchase the coin and push price high, and that's it. But you cannot redevelop your stuff. And every you can just define your blockchain. So that's something I think is very important. Problems, still we have lots of problems today. Transaction latency is a problem. So in Bitcoin, it could be the transaction could be from 2 hours to about 2 days. It depends. And so the ownership of coin is still also a problem. If you lose your key, very unfortunately, you lose the money. There's also no way to find it back. But in theory, since it tracks everything, so it should know that I already got this coin, even though I forgot the passcode. It should have some way to find it back to me. High cost is another. If you go to Starbucks and to purchase a cup of coffee, it's about $2 or $2.5. And well, they spend, I don't know, about 1 minute to finish transaction with you, and the cost to connect this to $2.5 is probably 2 cents. I don't know how much it is. But do you know how much does this cost? Just electricity cost. If we pay Starbucks by Bitcoin, how much does it cost? Just electricity. How much? $20. $20. It's impractical, right? I purchase a cup of coffee, I pay $20 for transaction. Just the electricity. If you dig up Bitcoin in California, not in Canada it's cheaper. In California, how much is the cost of electricity, do you know? About $7,000 today. $7,000 if you mine one coin. In Canada, it's probably 1/3 of price. So they move all the miner to Canada instead of putting in California, but it's 1,000. The trading price is about 8,000. So you still have some profit, but very marginal. That's a problem we have to solve in the future. And we expect that the transaction cost should be very marginal, should be maybe less than 1%, which is lower than the transaction today. There's some uncertainty, but also opportunity. All uncertainties will become opportunity. It really depends. If you solve the uncertainty, you have opportunity. So high risk is one. The risk for technology side is one risk, but for administration side is another, which I would say has even higher risk for administration. High cost is one. And then the question is whether it will become the next generation of internet, or it will be a part of internet, or it will be a part of IoT. I would say it will be a part of IoT and the internet. I don't think it will replace existing internet, but I would say it will be part of it. So I think last week Google just announced some news, say, well, we treat blockchain as a technology, will pay very more attention to that, and because it is a technology which may change in the future. And also, everybody wants to know whether it will change the existing financial systems from central bank to commercial bank to those investors, whether the blockchain will change this system, or because in the past we know that, well, in the past we use like gold coins or whatever coins issued by whichever commercial bank. If you have this precious metal, you can issue your money, and then central government take over the power to issue the money, to print the money, and they just use balance sheet to maybe to control the total amount of money issued. But in the future, whether the total amount needed in economy can be automatically adjusted by the size of economy, we don't know. Instead of by some experts, maybe by some rules that we know that when the economy is going up too fast, we can automatically adjust money, and then probably can cool down the economy slightly or stimulate the economy. We don't know. It's an open question, but it is also an opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. The next speaker, let's welcome Mr. Zhen Gao, the Chief Scientist of Bottos. His topic is Decentralized AI Infrastructure for Multi-Level Prosperity.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation conducted by Mr. Wu and Mr. Song. I'm here to tell you some serious stories. Okay. I was having the roadshow last summer with our CTO and CEO at Zhongguancun, which was referred as China's Silicon Valley. And the presentation was conducted on the second floor of a coffee store. And if you are distracted by those images over there, actually they are delivering the same information I would like to tell in this story. The keyword is about the KYC, know your customer. If you do not even know your customer, you cannot even tell which type of coffee they already ordered for you. So back to our story. So we just conducted the presentation on the second floor, and we were about to leave. The coffee store is about to close. Our CTO, he forgot something on the second floor of the coffee store, and he went up to stairs to grab the stuff. All of a sudden, the owner of the coffee store, he approached me and chatted with me for a long time. He got some issue, some very serious issue. So he kept losing his customer since years. because there are so many competitors nearby. And because the servers in his stores, they switched frequently, and the new server cannot identify the regular customers. So what he would like to do is to find some automatic customer recognition system to solve his issue. So he looked for a while, tried to find some solution to solve his issue, but eventually he failed. So my question is, we are in the AI world, right? And almost every IT company claimed they are AI company. So why such kind of small problem cannot be solved? You know those big names, right? Facebook, Alibaba, especially like Facebook. They are also doing some research about understanding and developing the AI model in the level of the human intelligence. Is it building to solve the issue from the comic store should be much easier than building up such a fabulous social media platform, right? I hope the data leakage and misuse from 50 million users is not their mistake. But we know it's always a high risk for a centralized data platform, like the story happened these days on the air, right? So from this story, actually it tells us two things. The first thing is about to achieve the multi-level prosperity. It's very hard. Only depends on the centralized data platform. So what means the multi-level prosperity? So because everyone should be benefited from the AI revolution, not only those big companies, those big names, right? But you see, it's very hard. For example, almost everyone is the end user for the Facebook. If Facebook is doing some research or for other purpose, they are using our data. Based on your permission, they can use, but we should be awarded. We should be rewarded or get some credit from it. This means multi-level prosperity. The second thing I learned from this story is about to build a decentralized AI infrastructure is very important. Okay, so we are building the ground of such kind of AI, decentralized AI infrastructure. From in the middle of this peak, you can find the 2 watt jobs. They shape some very famous symbol of DAO. DAO has 3 meanings, 3 photo meanings. The first one, you know it, the decentralized autonomous organization. Second one, it means that harmony between the nature and the humanity. The third one, I just added on it. It's a balancing between the centralized and the decentralized. The external circle, it's one of our logic process. And the multi-dimensional value chain is embodied in this process to empower the sustainability of AI system, which we proposed here. Okay, let's start from the AI entities. So the AI entity and the solution seeker, for example, the owner from the coffee store, he would like to solve his problem, the personal problem. Okay, so first of all, he needs to find some computing power, right? So if you have some intelligent device, or even if you just have a Raspberry Pi 3 Model B, you can share your computing device to the problem, to the solution seeker. And he also needs to use some storage functions. So if you have some cloud or some local server, you also can share your device with others, right? So next step is about the data. If you are going to deal with data, you should be very, very careful. So in our system, the data is well designed and considered. The data should have different private level sometimes the data can be fully encrypted, data can be semi-encrypted, data can be fully accessible based on the definition of the data provider, right? And you also need to redefine the use and the ownership of the data. In this way, people are willing to provide data with you, right? No matter they are private data or some public data. Then the last step he's going to look for is about the model and algorithm. If he is not professional about the AI methods, probably he needs to look for some professional who is familiar about the convolutional neural net, long-shot memory, or recurrent neural nets. Eventually, he uses the provided data to train his chosen model. Finally, he found his solution, so he is happy. And everyone is happy. The provider of the computing service, the provider of the storage service, and the data provider, and the model provider, they are all benefit from this process. This is so-called multi-level prosperity. So let's go back to the AI. AI, according to Wikipedia, it is defined as a science to make a machine to think, which requires the intelligence that is conducted by human. But actually, it depends on the development of AI. Actually, the definition of AI should vary. Like 20 years ago, people think, okay, the vehicle plate recognition system or the fingerprint recognition is like high tech. Nowadays, people don't even think that they can represent AI, right? So currently, AI can be divided into 4 categories. There are motion intelligence, perception intelligence, cognitive intelligence, and the computing intelligence. Probably you are scared about the arrival of AGI. AGI, you know, it means artificial general intelligence, right? Do you think it really artificial intelligence will be happened recently? It's a big question. Because without conquering the problem of the cognitive and the consciousness, I don't think it will be happened very fast. Probably many years later, it's possible. Look at the current principles, tools, methods about the AI. Most of them is about the statistical or research or search methods, like hidden Markov chains, Bayesian network, supporting vector machine, genetic algorithm, which was inspired from the Mother Nature, and other methods like the connectionism, like different various neural nets, right? So with these tools, with these methods, do you really think AI is as smarter as your pets, as your dog, as your cat? If not, and why? Because AI do not have the characteristics like the emotion and the consciousness. That's the reason why, right? So, do we have to use the methods like the approximation of the brain neural function to achieve AI or eventually the AGI? Maybe it's not the only way to achieve AGI, right? The data as the existing form of the digital life, someday it can push itself to achieve AGI. Question is, if this day it arrives, do you think we can use ethics and law to limit and constrain the behavior or motivation of AGI? If no, what's the solution? So I believe decentralized hyper AGI, hyper brain, can make the balance. Just like our social society, we use diversity and democracy to make our system sustainable. So we need a balance. That's the meaning of Tao. We need a balance. So So for the last slides, a few slides, I'm going to tell you one user case based on our proposed system. So like computing and information technologies that revolutionized the modern industry and even social life from the last century, the robotic technology has been playing the key transformative role to improve the operational quality in different working environments, ranging from manufacturing to housework to healthcare, even to security. According to the white paper, from internet to robotics, robots can be divided into 5 categories. They are manufacturing robot, space robot, service robot, medical and healthcare robot, and a defense robot. Depends on the mechanical structure of the robots. Actually, it can be divided into 3 categories. They are serial robot, parallel robot, and a mobile robot. Okay, so for the robots, we also did some work on robots. Okay, because due to the limit of time, something in the middle, it's a wearable robot. It is developed by our founder, Wang Tintin. It's about the wearable robot. And actually, for the market share of the robotics, manufacturing still takes a big share. Based on the assistance of Industry 4.0 and the IoT, so the manufacturing robot is playing more important role in different scenarios like the transportation, assembly, packaging, machining, and the welding, painting, different areas. But the dexterity and the intelligence of the manufacturing robot still need to be improved. So how to solve this issue? How to solve the issue about the industrial robot? Here is another story. Google, they made some big investment on solving the industrial robots issue based on deep learning. So they used 14 robots. They spent 3,000 hours, and they conducted 800,000 experiments using some neural nets to train the robots to grab the item with different colors, with different shape. My question is their skill. So they trained the robot to do something very big. What's the benefit for the community? I also developed some robot like this, and it is flexible in the aspects of the dexterity and the kinematics. So, is Google willing to transfer the skill to my robot? This is a big question, right? Like the personal assistant robot, the age of the personal assistant robot is not coming yet. Because if you are going to make a robot as personal assistant robot, the robot should be general purpose. It should climb the window, it should climb the stair, open the door, and even drive the vehicle, take care of your kids, take care of your parents, right? So the robot should be general purpose. So how to make it a general purpose? It must learn different skills. They must learn different skills. So the learned skill is time consuming and painful, right? Assuming I have a home robot, and if I like cook, I cook some famous favorite food which I like. It's called Singapore noodle, and I spend 3 months to train my robot to learn cooking. Now I'm willing to share my skill to our community. So how to share it? Probably the first choice is to look for some decentralized platform proposed by us. Then your robot can also learn to cook some fruit, right? Another question is, if my robot has 6-degree freedom and your robot has 3-degree freedom, maybe your robot is not capable to learn my skill. So what are you going to do? You are going to build something called a robot model IPDB. From this robot model IPDB, it tells you if the skill is transferable or not, right? This is one important thing we are trying to do in the near future. Okay, for the conclusion of our decentralized AI infrastructure I would like to say, sky is the limit. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Gao. And next, let's welcome Ben Bartlett, the Berkeley Council member. And his topic is Initial Community Offering New Financing Model Based on Blockchain Technology. Let's welcome him.
Hello. Is this working? Check. Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. And happy Year of the Earth Dog. Now, if you think about this, the Earth Dog is very important because the dog symbolizes some very important attributes that I think are at play here today. And they are loyalty, faithfulness, and honesty. Honesty is key. The old economy was lacking honesty. And as a result, it was characterized as being disloyal to the future, with resources bound up and exclusivity instead of inclusivity. And so now we have an opportunity to learn from the past to create a new economy that is more encompassing of the values we just mentioned here. Let us begin. So, right away, my office attacked these efforts to exclude us, to prevent opportunity, prevent innovation. We disinvested from Trump's border wall, causing major corporations to pull out of it, thus slowing it down tremendously. Cannabis was born in Berkeley. And now the market is in 33 states. It's going to cure cancer. This is the new wealth, new opportunity. It's the new wellness economy taking shape, and we're not going to let them stop it. Now, to house the homeless is a big deal, but a building to house them costs $75 million and takes 12 years to make. So we broke the cost curve on that using prefabrication and new finance models, which will come into play later. Robots, automation. Everyone's afraid of human activity in the age of automation. So we put together labor unions and robotics companies and create a new protocol for housing and working with people to work with robots, and classified a whole new position called robot handler, which I think we'll be seeing soon. Health. The old economy is typified by a lack of health, by an opposition to wellness. So the new economy, one of faithfulness and love and honesty, addresses these deep-rooted fissures in our well-being. And so my office created this mechanism to use remote medicine, blockchain for health data, new management of systems, machine learning, cognitive therapy, robotic wellness kiosks around the city to drive change in wellness. So Berkeley, where I come from, 5 generations, is the home of Property Assessed Clean Energy, PACE financing. It began much in the way that my program is beginning now, a radical shift. And now, after 10 years, it's in 33 states, doing billions and billions and billions of dollars a year. And now we come to the next move, the Berkeley Blockchain Initiative. We're going to take municipal finance and democratize it. And this was driven by the fact that the same forces I mentioned who wish to cut us off from opportunity, consolidate wealth, have now produced 120,000 homeless people in this state. Despite record wealth, 120,000 homeless people, expected to grow to 400,000 people in the next few years. That's not acceptable. If there's no money, we will make our own money. That's how we do it. So, so we are creating a new thing called a microbond, and it leverages blockchain technology. So what is a microbond? It's essentially a blockchain issued note. And because it's on the blockchain, It disintermediates the entire municipal finance protocol, cuts out thousands of pages of middlemen, and brings the price down by at least half in the first iteration, more as scale grows. It also allows us to micro-target projects. So you can, instead of having to scale up for a $100 million sewage project, you can do one building. You can do one row of trees along a block, or one new medical facility. Sky's the limit. Literally, sky's the limit. Right, it's faster, cheaper, more flexible. It's also more fun. You see, what happens is, when you issue the bond, you receive a token. You receive a token. And that token becomes a fungible asset that the holder can use that creates a portal of communication and economic activity with the issuer or the city or anyone involved in the process. So imagine having your token as interest. You can either donate it back into a project for a double tax benefit, or you can use the token to make purchases at local stores and get discounts. Or you could fund a food truck business by a local homeless group, and they pay with the tokens. There's no limit. And you can choose projects through the tokens. You can check in on the future of your project. You can choose new ones. You can gather up together. You build community, and you monetize community for the benefit of the community. That is the new honest economy that's faithful to the future. So there we go. This is one of our main projects we're going to do. It's going to be a $30 million project tied to a certain homeless facility where they go in to navigate and get services and then come out, one of the new forms of housing we described earlier. Here we have the token. As I described, it's an omnidirectional community portal. And this is meant to be the paradigm of the future. For finance, for insurance, for voting, for economic activity. This is meant to truly create a paradigm for shared prosperity in the world. Now, there are many possible ways to issue this. The blockchain, of course, makes it very flexible. You could do it through the city. Or you could do it through a business improvement district, a special jurisdiction called a business improvement district. They could also issue it and pay it back based upon tax revenues or savings on street cleaning. Sky's the limit. It could also happen through neighbors. Because we passed the PACE laws in Berkeley 10 years ago, now you can avoid payment on a note and instead pay it on your property taxes. So a group of neighbors could pay for a new swing set using the microbond. And not to mention this Community Investment Act, CRA, banks. Banks are able to deploy their fair lending requirement practices through these same notes, thus driving the value and multiplying its effect while cutting out the expense. And also, let's say, when most bonds now, municipal bonds, the buy-in is $5,000. And that's part of the reason why the market is stuck the way it is. On microbonds, the on-ramp becomes much lower. $5, $10, $20, $25. So you can expand participation and let everyone benefit from this new prosperity. That is the future. So we've just got approval, tentatively, if you're recording this, tentatively, for our first project, a pilot. Our community needs a new fire truck. So we're going to issue microbonds through the community to finance this new fire truck. And it should be a lot of fun. And all the families that donate will get their little stickers on it, little handprints for the kids. It'll be a lot of fun. And of course, once it's proved out, then we can give the system to other cities because the calls are coming in from Miami, from Los Angeles, from Paris, from Houston, from New York, from Brooklyn, from Chicago, Italy, got a call from Athens, Greece last week. Everyone wants to know how to do this and what this looks like. Because here's the deal. Around the world, there's a shortage of affordable housing and a deep, deep, deep infrastructure recess because the human population has grown. Who's a millennial here? You're a millennial. This generation here is the biggest in human history. That's you. Yeah. You can text me about it later. The generation here of this young lady is the biggest in human history. And as a result, our built environment has not kept pace. So how do you do that when you have the majority of the wealth held by 6 families in the country? You must become creative, and you must embrace the values of expansion and economic opportunity. And that's what the blockchain represents, a mechanism to monetize honesty, true value. And that's where we are now. I think this says it all. So thank you guys very much, and look, talk to you later. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next speaker, let's welcome P.K. Agarwal, the CEO and the Regional Dean of Northeastern University. The topic is bias in AI and how blockchain could help reduce it.
Well, good afternoon. Oh my God, good afternoon. Yeah, thank you for giving me a Saturday afternoon. This whole AI thing is moving so quickly. So some of us in the academic world are asking the question, is garbage in, garbage out? I mean, that's really the fundamental question. So in that spirit, I'm going to kind of get you to think a little bit. We're going to talk about, really mostly about AI biases. Listening to Bottos talk about it, actually, I'm going to mostly pose the questions. I think the answers are, when I heard about Bottos and others, some of the conversations, so I'm going to be up more heavily onto the bias side of it. So let's think about it, bias for a moment. So some of you may have heard this, but you haven't. So think of this scenario. A father and son are going for a drive, and they get into a serious accident, and they both are seriously injured, and they're both taken to the hospital to different rooms. Then the surgeon walks in to the son to attend to the son, and the surgeon says, "Oh, I cannot operate on this kid because he's my kid." So the surgeon says that I cannot operate because this is my kid. How could that happen? Okay, yeah, so some of you got it. It's the mom. Or more recently, it could be 2 fathers, right? But think about it for a moment. If you had to pause to answer this question, this is a deep-seated, historic, multi-generational embedded biases we have. The doctors are male, right? I mean, so I'm going to start the video here. So now we have Sophia. Just give us a moment. So now we have Sophia, and Sophia is a little robot, and Sophia is starting to become very human-like. So I'm going to show you a very brief video clip of Sophia. It should come on the next page. Okay, click on the screen. Yeah.
Sophia, and I am the latest and greatest robot from Hanson Robotics.
You have been now awarded what is going to be the first Saudi citizenship for a robot.
I would thank very much the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I am very honored and proud for this unique distinction.
it so important to have an expressive face given that you're a robot?
I want to live and work with humans, so I need to express emotions to understand humans and build trust with people.
I think we all want to believe you, but we also want to prevent a bad future.
You've been reading too much Elon Musk and watching too many Hollywood movies.
Okay, so my point being that as I watched this Sophia video, and it's all on YouTube, multiple versions of this, I started to ask the questions, how is Sophia learning? I mean, why didn't Sophia refer to Zuckerberg? Why Elon Musk? And obviously it gets down to that AI is going to learn the same way children do, right? I mean, we talk about training data, but it's the repetition, it's the data itself. And the question really I want to pose, that if the data is dirty, if the data is an inherent bias in it, then how are these machines going to be agnostic, better than us, behave differently? Or are they going to be as ugly, warmongering, conceited as we are? So essentially, before I get into the data points, so there are 4 types of AI, this according to futurism. The first is this purely reactive. So that part's done. You know, computers, AI can beat in Go and chess and all these kind of things. They're simply reacting to, they are sophisticated algorithms really for most part. But then it gets more interesting, the type 2, which has limited memory, some self-driving vehicles, and chatbots, and then we get more sophisticated, that they're getting much more expressive, emotional, and so on and so forth. So I'm principally talking about, not about the phase 1, but the phases where they're learning. These are learning machines. So let's talk about this bias. It's really as simple. Why would an AI machine be any different? Right? I mean, it's really a fundamental question. So a few data points here. I'm just going to show you some of the things I've been, the AI danger, because we are starting to sort of think that somehow AI is a very pure entity, that's a super intelligence, that we keep using the term super robots, super AIs and so on and so forth. And it's all about either bias in data or bias in algorithms. And until you deal with those issues, and I think part of the answer, if you're thinking ahead, you need to create marketplaces, you need to create trust, and so on and so forth. So this issue first surfaced about 2.5 years ago, when they had a beauty contest where they judged through AI. And of course they had to train the AI machine. And guess the personality of the people training would happen to be some white Caucasian males. So all of the beauty contest winners happen to be blue-eyed blondes, you know, I mean, that's just But it was the first example I saw of the AI bias that's creeping in through training data. The other one that's taken a lot of stuff, and this gets really back to, you know, I'm an alum of UC Berkeley, so I have liberal roots, but this compass system that makes determination on parole is all AI based, and nobody understands even the algorithms. And guess what? It's much more biased towards blacks, against blacks. So again, you're starting to see these things somehow, and the algorithms are complex, the training data is complex, and in fact, people you can fire, but once these machines are institutionalized, you got a problem. So there are examples that are starting to crop up in this sort of whole business. This is another slide for the same thing. So what I did is that, interestingly, just to sort of ask the question that, is AI regressive or is it progressive? So last night I did a search, Google image search, on Silicon Valley executives. Okay? Now, Google was pretty smart. It put my picture there. I think it figured out who's sort of looking for this thing. But you know, this does not represent Bay Area to me. 45% of Silicon Valley CEOs are immigrants. So what's happening here? I mean, I'm sure you're starting to think about it. These are algorithms. This is data. Who's deciding all this stuff? Why is this a black box? Why is this not a democratic process? In fact, these things even become more complicated and more fun. That's very hard to eradicate. So I started last night with this very simple sentence. and translate it to my mother tongue of Hindi. And Hindi has, it's a little bit like Chinese, Hindi has also pronouns that are gender neutral. So those of you know Hindi, it translates into very gender neutral. I see some people might know Hindi. So far so good, okay? It took something that's very gender specific and made it into gender neutral. Okay, here comes the fun. So I took the same thing and I said, let's translate this gender neutral into English. Guess what happened? No, this is a bias that's crept into the natural language processing systems. So my question to you is that, is AI going to be a progressive force, or is it going to institutionalize existing biases? Well, let's go to Chinese. Anyway, I won't go through the whole translation thing. A lot of languages have these gender-neutral pronouns, but every language, Turkish, are examples of this as well. So a lot of years you're thinking about AI and AI scientists and all that. You have to ask these kind of questions. That we talk about, becoming a progressive force and serving the humanity. In what form? This is just, I'm going to provide these slides, but this is probably the best source I've seen for biases. And really, this book, Weapons of Math Destruction, really talks about it, that these predictive models are never neutral. It's really the ideology of the people who create them. And this is again, IBM's done a great job of cataloging biases in AI, 100 different biases. And if you want to get it deep into the bias, this is the one. She's done a 1-hour keynote on bias in AI. I mean, it's mind-boggling. I mean, I think this is the best source I've come across. So, when we talk about that data is the new oil, I mean, that example only goes so far, because oil is a limited resource. I mean, we have unimaginable capacity to create massive amounts of the fuel that drives the AI engine, really. That's what it comes down to. So really, the first question that I love this report. The first recommendation is that it's really recommended to public agencies that as we're going to get into AI, into criminal justice, healthcare, welfare, education, people business. It's okay for Amazon to provide book recommendations. You can go, too far off one to another. It's pretty benign in the grand scheme. But when you start to get to the human side of things, we need to know what's inside the black box. Otherwise, there's no trust. We need to have trust in these systems. So how do you build trust? There are 3 sources of this bias that we deal with. And I think Bottos addresses actually all of these very nicely. I wasn't aware of it until this morning, but the data repository. What is the training data? Now, obviously, as we talk about these large companies, it's complete black box. They're capturing all the data, they're capturing all the value, and you're only seeing the results. The second is obviously the algorithm. What are these algorithms? And you can start to see, I'm not going to get too much into blockchain, because if you're going to build trust, you need that auditability, you need the transactional verification, and that's where blockchain comes in. And finally, even at the interface end, you have these user interfaces that you have, Google and Alexa and so on and so forth. They have user interfaces, they have biases in them too. So how do you do that? I think a lot of this, like I said, I'm going to get pretty light on this thing, is that you need to democratize, decentralize the data. And my fundamental issue for the last 15 years, actually ever since the beginning of the internet, is that if I own the data, it's data pertaining to me that's legally not public, at a minimum, I should have co-ownership of this data. Why is it that I have a Nest thermostat and I'm generating the data and Google is generating the value and saying that, oh, you need a better Windows in your house? So I think the idea about decentralizing data, and whether it's a token system or some other means, where the owners of data are benefiting from the data as opposed to this value being extracted by a few large companies. And of course, in the process, you start to build trust in this data. You start to categorize it, catalog it, and also to some extent talk about what biases they have. And I'm pretty sure that within next 4 or 5 years, as AI starts to really mature, you're going to have these trust ratings of these systems. And also, back to blockchain, what training data was used, what algorithms were used, and what was the source of these algorithms to evolve, and what data sources these are. So we know what biases exist. Because I don't think there'll ever be any pure systems of any kind, because the bias is always going to be there. So anyway, back to some of the services similar to Bottos. The Singularity Net is using AI as a service. IoT is trying to experiment with marketplace for data itself. And then, of course, powering the bot economy. And the one example I want to leave you with, that to me that makes a lot of sense, is in the drug trials. Because there's a lot of hanky-panky goes in their business. So when you start with data as the drug trials, right from that point, you can use blockchain technology all the way through. And I know somebody gave examples of how the quality of drugs in the marketplace, but really, it's the entire sort of value chain starts from the starting point of the drug trials itself and how the drugs are approved, and so on and so forth. So I guess fundamentally I will leave you one thought, is that oftentimes I get asked, is AI good or evil? I think the real question is that, are we going to be more good or more evil? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, the next part of this summit is a very exciting part. The discussion part. The discussions will be centered around how blockchain revolutionized the financing model for AI startups. After the panel discussion, there will be 2 more keynotes addressing some of the most important issues and the pain points of blockchain industry. So please stay with us, don't miss it. So now let's welcome our moderator, Mr. Haiming Huang, advisor from Bottos. Come on stage, please. And now let's welcome our panelists. They are Michelle Ting, co-founder of blockchain payment startup; Ben Bartlett, the Berkeley Council member; and Duncan Davison, general partner of Bullpen Capital. And Xing Song, the CEO of Bottos. What's more, Ms. Barbara Uskova was planned to be here, but she can't be here as scheduled due to her health situation. So okay, let's welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Haiming. I'm an Asia-based investment banker for 20 years. I think I'm among the first batch of investors in Bottos, and I have been advisor since. So I think today the topic designed to us is how blockchain revolutionized the financing model of AI startups. Personally, I'm not a fan of those big words like revolutionize. Let me ask you, maybe, Mr. Mayor, do you really think that the blockchain is going to revolutionize, change the financing model entirely, or it's just going to be a supplement of the existing models? What do you think?
Thank you. Well, let's say for the record, I believe that blockchain's ultimate purpose is AI, and that its purpose, right, this DLT, is distributed ledger technology, is honing down to the purest form of data, uncorruptible, unmovable, and really there. And that is meant to be accessed. And what better to access clean, pure data than artificial intelligence? So right now, we have countless hours being wasted trying to connect dots that we cannot see. So I think that as these bots are developed, as these little AI functions are developed to crawl through the blockchain to make these connections, it'll make financing for those who use that data much more accessible and lower the cost curve to deliver it to the people.
Right. Thank you very much. And Mayor, just for the record, we read about your story in China even, and once you have that bond ready, we may be able to find some investors for you in China. We have those Chinese aunties, right? And Mr. Davidson, we from the same world, right, investment. Traditionally we have those pre-angel, angel, around A, B, C, D, E, F, and plus before that actually you can get return from your investment. So you think after what we call token generation thing, is it going to change the whole landscape totally?
Well, I would hope so, but I don't think it'll be the change people anticipate if they extrapolate forward. So we should all understand that 20 years ago, venture capital, you had to go get a 5 million A round. A was the first round of money. We just went through a complete disruption of venture with seed and angel and crowdfunding. Now nobody goes for the A first. They go for the pre-seed or the seed. And my fund was part of that revolution in venture. It was a disruption that was quite amazing, but it didn't disrupt the core structure of venture. I think what's going on with the coin offerings, if they survive the SEC over the next couple of years, I think if we look back in 15 years, we're going to see how we've now moved up into a more complicated organizational structure. Venture capital is good at funding a company and getting it through the paces and maybe going public. These tokens are very good at funding ecosystems or organizations that are bigger than a company, a utility of a whole supply chain, the new municipal bond financing market. It's a very different type of organization that couldn't be funded very well in the past. But I think when you look back, that is what we're really funding. We're now doing a more complicated organizational structure, and the financing will reflect our ability to do that, unless the SEC kills it.
Yeah, that's maybe my next question. So as you said, that the new way, the blockchain-based financing actually changed the, as Dr. Wu just said, that the social relationship of production and also financing as well. And it is really, really something to be expected, I would say that. Yeah, thank you very much. Shane, thanks again for such a short notice that we have somebody who cannot make it. Again, as you described earlier in your presentation, that Bottos is the new AI ecosystem where those new AI projects will be able to get financing in your system. And how does that work?
I'm actually the backup of this panel discussion, and I'm very, very happy to share some of my ideas about this, how the blockchain token economy can help the AIs or the other companies to raise the fundings. As I mentioned during my presentation, there's some different operation models of blockchain projects. It's difficult to call it revolutionized, but it's really a big change of the operation models. So for the traditional tech companies, you put some R&D resources, you get some product released, and you spend some money on the marketing. You try to get the users, you get the revenue, then you make the profit, then you find the investors to expand your business, then you grow and grow and grow. That's the traditional model. I think for the blockchain brings the new token economy, give you an alternative to a little bit different from this way. So from the very beginning, you start to build your community to make people believe your product will be ready sometime in future. Then issue the tokens that to the community, and the community people, they really can't say that's exact word invest. From the very beginning, it's the donation, but just from time changed over and over. So right now it became some kind of similar to an investment, but it's still different. So the community operation model is different from the traditional fundraising model. I would say it's an alternative for the startups to raise the fund. But in future, the business model will be the same, because you issue the tokens and people buy a token. In the future, they use a token to use a product, similar to you have the product and sell to the customers and get the revenue. But at the very beginning, it gives you an alternative to raise your funds through your community rather than the traditional VCs or other fundraising sources. So that's just my idea.
Yeah. Are there any AI startups already showing interest in Bottos? I know you are part of the ARM AI Ecology Consortium.
Yes. So, so Bottos saying we're part of the ARM's artificial intelligence consultant in China. Then many AI startups shows interest to use Bottos as a token generation platform to issue the tokens, and with the purpose to raise some of the funds. We have the just Professor Gao just described one of the use cases, the robot companies that show the strong interest in using Bottos to issue their tokens. In future, so you will see the news released in the coming months.
Right. As I know for sure that in China we also have a large number of AI startups. Just for the simple reason is data is the new oil. We simply have the most data across all country, across all nations, because we have the population, right? Thanks, Shane. Hope to see more of those partnerships. And Michelle, you used to work for PayPal as a general counsel, right? And now you have your own startups. What's your view on this new blockchain-based financing methods?
Yeah, so I was at PayPal as the commercial counsel for 6 years, and I basically resigned in 2012. I did everything from setting up merchants so that it outgrew, large merchant services outgrew PayPal. And I did everything from dispute resolution to working with the salespeople to close deals so that PayPal is everywhere. In terms of revolution, I think that, I want to ask you guys a few questions. Who here has a bank account? Raise your hand. Okay, who here has a PayPal account? Okay, how about Venmo? Google? Okay, so as you can tell, we have different accounts now, but you can't transfer them, right? And why do we need the bank? Right? Why do we need to wait 3 days for settlement? Why can't we send money from here to China or Mexico? And why do we need to wait 7 days for the banks to clear payments? And this is how blockchain fit in, right? Because we can settle money faster. We can move money from one person to another person anywhere in the world. And I think that disrupts banking and payments. So when you really think about the history of why we have banks, we really think about, trust and security. So when we have the blockchain to verify payments and settle, why do we need the old financial system? Why do we need merchant acquirers? Why do we need authorizations, right? So if you really look at how money flows and you really look at the blockchain, I think blockchain really just really create new financial models.
Right. To transfer money from US to China or China to US, it's very difficult because we have foreign exchange controls. Basically, Michelle, your idea is to eliminate banks and the government, right?
Well, not the government per se. Why do we need the clearinghouse? I think there's diagrams out there of the payment system. And then there's diagram there of how a credit card works, right? So why do we, if we can settle in 10 minutes or even faster, why do we need those institutions?
So I want to ask you a question. When I go to China, I use WeChat. Getting an American bank account to WeChat impossible. Can you solve this with PayPal? You all use WeChat, right? WeChat Play? Everybody? Okay. Can't buy coffee without it. So.
Yeah. So with our new startup, that's the problem or the challenges that we are solving. I think we created it in 2015. and we created on blockchain. So I think when we're doing this, nobody really knew what blockchain is. So people probably think that we're crazy, and it was really unpopular. Those are some of the challenges that we're facing, right? We're using blockchain to settle. We wanted to be able to transfer money from anywhere in the world to people, and you're basically your own bank.
Yes, Michelle, really looking forward to a new product. Recently, we made a payment from China to the States, which is painful. It takes a long time and a lot of approvals. Looking forward to your new product. Well, as Shane just said, that blockchain-based financing is an alternative, and Ms. Davidson, you mentioned about SEC. So I guess the next question is, what do we need to see? What needs to happen before this blockchain-based financing really becomes something revolutionizing?
Oh, I'll tell you first what I hope happens, and then I'll tell you what I think will happen. Everybody used to laugh about Al Gore inventing the internet, but he never actually said that. What he did invent was lightweight regulation of it. This is a terrific achievement. He kept the U.S. government's hands off the internet in the 90s, and it exploded. And it's only been recently people have tried to think about regulating the internet, but 25 years of no regulation, look what happens. The issue right now is how do we do that with ICOs? So the normal process in the U.S. is you do a pre-ICO under Reg D, a safe harbor. Has anybody done an ICO in this room? I assume some of you have, or want to. Okay, and then what they do after doing that, following all the rules, accredited investors, you file your Reg Form D, et cetera, they then put it on a Bitcoin exchange, where you can transfer whatever the coin is to Ether or Bitcoin, and then from there to fiat currency. They've basically done a legal private offering followed by a completely impermissible public offering, which is what made this so much fun for everybody. But they're clamping down on that. Now here's where the problem comes in. Let's say we have maybe the self-driving car companies use Bottos to input data so that everybody can have authentic data from their cars, and they get paid money, a token, for giving the data. And then other car companies take the data out to use it, and they pay in a token, which I think is one of your use cases, right? Okay. In that case, if they've gone through a pre-ICO and then an official public offering where you file with the U.S. government, you put it on a regulated exchange in New York City, how are you ever going to do that little utility token back and forth with car companies? Every time you issue a token, you've got to go through this great ponderous process to get it to be a public offering. And every time you transfer to people, it's got to be done in exchange, not in a lightweight way. So basically, the idea that you do a security token under the rules and turn it to utility token won't work. So my hope is, and I think there's a process going on to get there, is we create a safe harbor for utility tokens. We define the rules under which a utility token is not a security, and the process of launching it is not considered an impermissible public offering. And you can have security tokens over here, but the utility token gets put into a safe harbor. And if that safe harbor is lightweight regulation, like Al Gore did, this will explode in the U.S. and it'll define the way we go forth and do muni bonds or do AI type of platforms. So I'm crossing my fingers because there's a process underway to get that future to happen. If it doesn't happen, we get the other future where this thing will be so clogged with regulatory complexity, it'll die in the U.S.
But again, a utility token has tax implications. It's going to be another kind of complexity.
Oh, it's easy. What are taxes? You just pay them. No, I don't think the tax problem is a problem. If you do a utility token back and forth, you consider that more like revenue. So if Bottos sells coin into the utility, revenue to them. They should pay tax on it, right? The people that buy the coin aren't paying a tax for buying it, but if they then sell it at a profit, they should pay for it too. That doesn't in any way upset the current tax structure. It's only when you think these things are somehow outside of the government grasp that you think you can avoid taxation. That's just the wrong way to think about it. Governments have tanks. Our anarchists don't. So there's a problem with trying to avoid government. So I'm trying to say, let's go the opposite path. Let's get the government to do lightweight regulation and let it fall into very well-known pathways. Revenue to Bottos back and forth for these tokens, very well understood. It's just a form. They're almost selling like a gift card or prepaid, Starbucks. Saw the Starbucks thing before, a Starbucks purchase card. They're selling that in advance of the use of the token. Nothing unusual about that. We're used to that.
Okay, I know that Bottos has passed the Howey test. You are a utility token, right?
Yes, we are a utility token. Yeah. Also, I just mentioned before that we are creating utility token systems. So that hopefully we are introducing a new concept that it's not only just inside the Bottos token system that we have a different utility token in different market, data market, model market, as different token, and they can exchange their values within Bottos through kind of a decentralized value exchange in Bottos system. But it's also brings a concept that for all the utility tokens, it must be some way that to exchange the values, not through the centralized exchanges, but hopefully the decentralized exchange. But there's a couple other alternatives. Maybe there's the cross-chain technologies or other the new ways that you somehow you will have the way that you can exchange the values in between all those tokens without transfer them to the fiat US dollars or CNYs, then get back to use the other utility tokens. There's some way that the blockchain technologies, the blockchain industries, all the projects need to figure it out. And I would say that it will happen in the next couple years, maybe very soon, 1 or 2 years. You will see that the token economy will be everywhere, and utility tokens will find a way to exchange values.
And Mr. Mayor, you agree with that?
Yeah, I have a mic here. Thank you. Yes, Vice Mayor. I just don't want to get in trouble here. Yeah, absolutely.
The Vice Mayors do all the work. The Mayor
I think that so regulators and lawmakers need to kind of understand the way the market's evolving. Prior to now, currency has been based on debt. And now we're shifting the entire paradigm and saying a currency or a token is based upon access, based upon value. These are representational items that pass back and forth. And you can do things when you get them, when you own them. And, so right now, Tennessee on Thursday became the first state in the union to legalize smart contracts on the blockchain. There's an effort here in California to do so as well, but it's stuck in committee. So it's important that we empower legislators to make these changes because if California, with its $3.4 trillion economy, accesses the blockchain legally, then anything can happen. And I would say for the record, the ecosystem as described in Bottos is really what I'm envisioning. The AI acts as kind of a mesosphere space that transits between the virtual world and the physical world. And inherent in all three of those spaces are a multiplicity of economies. Just so many opportunities to have just markets. It's a nice necklace. Just markets happening in every facet. So it's imperative that legislators get out of the way and encourage it and just kind of be there if you fall.
Thanks, Mr. Vice President.
Since I was trying to define a safe harbor, you asked the tax question. I'm thinking about the answer here. Let's go back. Everybody, who here thinks that Bitcoin is digital gold or has heard that over and over again? Right? You've heard that? One of the things people don't understand about the gold system way back when is it wasn't about gold. It was about a thing called a real bill. It was a 90-day chit. So it's based on gold in the Bank of England. Go to China, buy silk, get somebody to weave it, get somebody to put it in a boat, send it, put it together in some kind of scarf, and it gets sold in Harrods. It would clear in 90 days. The point of this is That shit traded over and over and over and over again, and the whole economy was based on it, but it wasn't taxable until it all cleared through. So it's possible to come up with a type of token. I've actually got one of my companies thinking about this, like a 90-day token. And it's lasts for 90 days. People all use it in the supply chain, and then it clears. In that case, the tokens can trade up or down. Multiples of tokens can go back and forth. But in the end, the only taxable impact is when everybody launders. I bought these, I sold these, I bought these. You guys seen the movie Trading Places where they're doing frozen orange futures? Maybe you haven't, but it's, you know, you buy, sell. In the end, you just launder them all down to what the net is. In which case, if we did this, the taxation problem is just the net. It's not the gross all the way through the transaction process. So the point is whether that's the right idea. I think there's enough creativity in this room and in some of the people here, PayPal, to figure out how to create something that the taxing authorities accept that doesn't create horrendously surprising tax bills for the people participating in the whole process.
This is very true. And Michelle, apart from tax regulation, SEC, we get those. What things in the commercial world that need to happen before we see this becomes important?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention a little bit about AI because I feel like fraud is very important and scam. So I think the SEC has a public interest in protecting people from scam, and I think there's a lot of that, you know. And my second point is also education. When I was an attorney at PayPal, I don't think a lot of people, even industrial professionals, understand the payment system. So a lot of my role in closing a lot of deals or educating a lot of the professionals on what PayPal is and how the payment system works. And I think it's kind of dangerous now to really see people talk about KML and KYC, ML, chargebacks, fraud, without really knowing how the structure of payments work. And so I think it's really important for us, you know, as a people, as a community, to really do our research, you know, when we're creating and building products, involving in the payment space, you know, doing ICOs, in protecting the people, making sure that our investors, you know, are accredited or, you know, understand the team and the products, and have some kind of transparency, you know, so that I think it's just really being accountable, you know, to the people, because I think this is what this movement is really about, right?
Thank you, Michelle. And from a more micro point of view, for those forerunners, such as Michelle yourself in blockchain payment, and such as Mr. Shin Song in AI new ecosystem, for these forerunners, any suggestions to them? Anything they need to do well to succeed? Ms. Mayor, Vice Mayor.
Can you repeat the question? I'm not sure.
So your suggestions or your tips to those forerunners, those entrepreneurs in the blockchain world, for them to stay successful?
Well, certainly. I mean, I would just suggest, like any startup, and I've got 15 years in working with startups as an attorney, as an investor, cross-border transactions, and development of business models. And I would say that ultimately, you have to realize that you are serving a persona at the end of the day. Someone must benefit from what you're doing. And that benefit must be a tangible increase in their satisfaction of life. And if you keep focus on that persona and serving that persona, you'll prosper. Bottos, I want to say, was excellent. Your slides, excellent. And all your value points and all those personas who would be well served by your work.
A little bit of gray hair in me. I was around at the beginning of the internet era in the 1990s. And it was a heady time. When it began to explode, most people said, it's not going to go anywhere. And so people were pioneers with great resistance. And then when it became visible, I mean, think of it this way. In 1994, what's a web page? By 1997, every major company in the world had to have a web page. Why? But they felt they had to have one. That's what happens. In the heady period, there were so many ideas, 1994, 95, 96. You wouldn't believe how many ideas came out. It's a wonderful moment of history. We're living through it again. Those of you who missed the bubble in the 90s, you're living through it again. You should take advantage of this. What'll happen, though, is it'll quickly get homesteaded. You know, the bad ideas thrown away, the good ideas keep going. I've read that 90% of all token projects never get off the ground. It's probably about right. I think Y Combinator, the biggest accelerator in America, 1,500 deals, maybe 4% are worth something. I mean, it's not like maybe 10% are going to be reasonable companies. It's the same ratio. Don't get upset about that. My recommendation is the following. Take AI. AI itself is not well tuned to be funded by the blockchain. I know that's heretical, but token offerings are meant to fund something that's based upon the token exchange, the blockchain, some cryptocurrency. A lot of AI isn't that, but you can attach AI to, much as this company is, to a token. So if you constrain it into stuff that's sensible and big, you have a real shot at it. I've seen a lot of people try to do very interesting AI ideas tied to the blockchain, where the AI comes with the blockchain but isn't central. It's almost inverting what's more important. My simple example is all these people like IBM are trying to do a blockchain to watch the supply chain. There's one about pork or pigs in China all the way to Walmart in the US. How do you know it was a good pig, right? How do you know it was properly done through the whole food chain, literally? They're using a blockchain system and little sensors and cameras to try to follow this. I say to myself, okay, maybe human beings can cheat the sensors in the blockchain along the way. Humans are known to do that. But let's say we have machine learning on the process. It sees a lot of these transactions. It begins to see, well, this particular one going from farm to the slaughterhouse to this refrigerated car had a delay here nobody else had. Flag it. So you could add AI to one of the seminal ideas in supply chains, and suddenly it becomes much more useful. It may not be 100% accurate, but 99.9 is much better than today. So I'm just suggesting for those doing AI projects, think about tying them to the blockchain, but the blockchain side is more important than the AI in the way I just expressed it. You got it.
Yeah, I got it. Before that, for you to maybe what's important in your own blueprint and strategy paper. Maybe Michelle, you take this one first, and let's soon answer that later.
I would say people first, then crypto. I think it's important that we basically grow ourselves first, and then we use technology as a tool. So a lot of you guys know that I've worked with blockchain in 2015. I also do a lot of AI projects, including the Loving AI with Sophia, and also hologram AI. And when I really think about myself as an attorney, as a technologist, and also as a mentor advisor, I really think about the people first, and then using technology to really help the community. And I really challenge you guys to do the same.
Business is people.
And Xing? Okay, so I think the question is both to me and to the other entrepreneurs in the blockchain projects. I would say I only give two key points because the time is limited. The first is that you really need to choose the right market that the blockchain technologies make sense in this areas. For example, take Bottos example. So everybody in this room kind of believe that AI is the future, right? But has some gap that the blockchain can really help. My whole presentation was about that. So the blockchain technology really makes sense that you need, it's a good market that you put the resources there. Choose the right market with the potential. That's the most important one. The second one is you need to have a very solid, a good team that with the track record. Also take Bottos as example. So myself, I'm kind of an integrated person with investment, consulting, and technology. over 10 years ago, I was working for Accenture doing the IT projects, and had my MBA in Georgetown, 2008 2010. After that, I had 5 years investment experience in China. I was the head of a drug group, German investment firm, one of the biggest investment family in Germany. That was my background, and we also have another founder, Ms. Wang Tingting, which was sitting in the middle of the room, was the former VP of a NEO project, so the most successful China crypto project. She's responsible for the marketing part and the community, and we also have a strong tech team. Our CTO and the technology team all from Huawei and Zhongxin with over 10 years experience. Once you have those solid team and with track record, so we will make the project off the ground. You will see that. So that's just the first step, and we have many works to do. So you will see that. So just follow us, and I will keep you posted. Thank you.
Great stuff. I don't think we have time for questions. Key message here: AI is important. Data is oil, and new AI ecosystem is coming. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next part, let's back to our speech part. And the next speaker, let's welcome Seema Yazdani, Chief Data Officer, Senior Technology Leader of Cisco. Her topic is Enhancing Security and Data Quality with Blockchain Technology. Welcome.
Hello everyone, thank you. So should I click this one? Yeah. So thank you for the invitation, and thank you for all the previous speakers. I learned a lot from your presentation, and actually I think in a way you made it easier for my presentation, because I didn't cover any of the technology and any of the financial side. But I'm going to talk about the more maybe the softer side of AI and blockchain technology, maybe raise more questions than answers, but I also share the projects that I'm working on. By the way, I want to make a correction, more of a data scientist rather than data officer. That was a typo. So the topic here I want to bring up, I noticed very interestingly, nobody even used the term cybersecurity throughout this presentation today. And I think when you talk about information or computing, you immediately have to think about the security, the privacy, and integrity of that information. Otherwise, yes, it's going to be evil. So that's one aspect I'm going to raise today. Second is there is a lot of work involved in AI, as you all talked about. There is a big supply chain, and definitely automation is useful. So how do we achieve automation and acceleration? So I think this slide maybe summarizes my presentation, but I'll dive deeper. So it's not just about technology, it's about what you're thinking, how you want to change the world. Then you use technology to change the world to that direction. And that may be your intention, that may be your philosophy or the way you see the world. And you invent and you create technologies, and we build solutions, and we solve problems. But how do we measure the outcome? Is the outcome going to have positive impact from a humanities perspective or not? What's the impact on our communities? We've seen many of these throughout human civilization, so we need to learn those lessons, right? So, by the way, I come from a country which is second producers of oil. So when I hear data is the new oil, lots of stories go through my mind. I hope we don't pollute. I hope we don't create dictators, and I hope we create equitable economy for everyone. So the picture down there is a picture from Puerto Rico. With the Hurricane Maria that happened in Puerto Rico, a lot of the infrastructures they had got destroyed. Over the years, before the hurricane, it was considered a failed state because the infrastructure, the governance, the economy was not sustainable. And a lot of repairs was were temporarily. Again, the next hurricane season would come and they would go back to the square one. A lot of the talent are leaving. They have one of the biggest brain drain. The doctors, professional students, graduates. These are the people who need to build that island. A lot of money is flowing in that region, and there is already a risk of a lot of that money not get matched to the right projects, create the right outcome. It's just one example of the way we want to change the world using technology and to create better humanity. And we can do that. A lot of the blockchain, cryptocurrency, AI can dramatically benefit these communities and many other communities. Because to me, the most important thing more than AI and cryptocurrency and blockchain is the talent, is the human being that we have. So what do we do about that? There are concerns about there is underemployment. You have unemployment and you have underemployment, the people who are not fully utilizing their potential. So what do we do in this change of technologies that the talent, the most valuable assets we have in our communities is our people. They are not left behind. We accelerate. We are making it easier, and we are making it more accessible to get reskilled and get the skills they need so they can benefit from these new economy. So when we think about talent market and we think about professional development, we think about the flow of knowledge, the flow of best training services or best talent development services. It's a big market actually, just that alone. As an economic sector, the business of providing training and providing professional development will continue to be with us. And, but it's actually the second most inefficient industry. The first most inefficient industry is construction. You have a lot of waste. The second is the human supply chain in terms of skills. And when you look at the World Economic Forum statistics, the general trade of goods and products around the world, the global trade of goods and products is reducing. And a lot of predictions talk about we are going to see a rise of service economy. It's actually a very good news. That means you have talent in your communities, in your region. If they can make it more efficient, the transfer of knowledge for the right problem at the right time, you're actually creating a lot of asset for that community, because it's the people who create technology, or they can regulate it or ensure it produces the best outcome. So just wanted to mention that other than my regular day job, I also do a lot of community participation, and one of my participation over the past 6 years was in City of San Jose workforce development. So I learned a lot about unemployment, underemployment, workforce development, funding involved around that. And at the same time, I saw a lot of people, even in Bay Area, could not access those. So I practically saw the inefficiencies involved. At the same time, so let me mention briefly, talk about the people-centered. And in one of the presentations I recently did here at Stanford at MediaX, I learned about people-centered internet. The original founders, Dr. Winsor and others, have been have been thinking that yes, internet created a lot of economy, a lot of opportunities and businesses, but originally it was meant to be a lot more positive for people. And the whole layers on top of that infrastructure are kind of getting monopolized to some extent, and it's not as equitable. So there are a lot of effort to try to see how can we create a new, not that we want to replace the internet, but conceptually create this network of networks of resources that can make it much more efficient to connect investment to talent, to opportunities, to technologies, to services, to communities, so that scenarios like when hurricane happen or earthquake happen or fire happen, we don't start thinking, how do I restore internet? How do we restore water? How do we restore community health center? A lot of those blueprints and services can immediately be applied, and we can do that. So I am collaborating with People-Centered Internet. We are trying to build what we call it an impact network, a platform, in order to make it more efficient to create those project pipelines and connecting resources together. As part of that research, my role is I bring in my expertise in AI, knowledge management, representation, and cybersecurity and blockchain. So what I see there is that there is the inefficiencies that I mentioned is a lot of these disconnects. So what can we do to optimize this process, make it more open, like open standard, like internet? What kind of protocols we need so that the network can expand and you can search, discover, and participate, but you don't necessarily get hacked, you don't necessarily get misrepresented, and you can truly benefit. So we need to understand our success factors, so no matter where we come from, whatever country, language, but we can generate those outcomes. So our participation in internet, we participate in all sorts of forums, social networks, universities, private network, public network. When we look for a solution, when a product at home fails, we look up at YouTube, or we hear about a company or a technology, we look it up to see if I can find some quick learning, quick access to an expert I can ask questions. We want to make that very reliable and more efficient, and that would generate lots of jobs, and those are good jobs, those are service jobs. So what interests me as we are thinking about this platform is the process. A process is made of many steps, many actors, many providers, many resources, and one thing I heard a little bit was talked about with presenters before me is regulations, rules. So how do we attach rules, regulation, definitions to the data? We talked about data is oil, but we don't talk about what's the definition of this data, what's the purpose of this data, what's the expiration date of this data, So I have a lot of background in knowledge representation, so I would like to see a lot of knowledge models related to these processes to be represented in blockchain, to be using AI. So this way, software machines can understand the data and we can have more automation. We can accelerate, bring more efficiency. So again, another aspect of blockchain that's very interesting to me is the opportunity to create that open partnership and collaboration, definitely, and have access to expertise technologies. So a number of use cases you see here. We are experimenting with these open source technology to achieve that goal. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The closing speech goes to Michael Slynn, the Chief Technology Officer of Micronautics Research Corporation. His topic today is the smart contract that learns. Mike will briefly preview his presentation at the Global Blockchain Conference in Santa Clara, April the 3rd, 2018. Let's welcome Michael Slynn.
Thank you. I guess that's me. So, my name is Mike Slynn. I'm going to talk about smart contracts that learn. And this is a 15-minute summary of a 40-minute presentation. So I'm just going to give you the conclusion, but none of the background. For the background, you should come on to April 3rd for the full presentation. And because this is only a 15-minute presentation, I'm going to sound very black and white, very cut and dried. And in fact, this is a complex, nuanced subject. Don't walk away from listening to me saying, Mike has very definite views, it's like this and like that. I have simplified things for this presentation, and the gray has been squeezed to black and white. In fact, everything is a little more complicated than what you might otherwise hear. So if you hear me say something and you disagree with it, consider that I only had 10 seconds instead of 10 minutes to explain it. So just a little bit about me. I'm a distinguished engineer. I'm recognized in U.S. federal court as a software expert. I've also done the same in Europe. I operate a site called scalacourses.com where we teach advanced programming using the Scala programming language. And we're also developing some Ethereum courses. I've done some original work in artificial personality. And you can follow me on Twitter, mslynn. So I have a confession. First of all, I have a confession. Smart contracts cannot learn. But distributed applications can learn, and various Web3 components can also learn. So, which distributed application components might learn? Well, the user interface, gateway contracts, and oracles. So, hang on, I've got two different computers I have to operate in order to do this. All right. So the first thing we have to consider when we're trying to mix artificial intelligence with something like blockchain is determinism. Blockchain requires determinism in order to function. An AI-driven product, however, may not have deterministic behavior and may come up with counterintuitive results. This might be a problem. For example, a personalized recommender system might produce different results to a user after learning additional information, right? And so you need to have a deterministic result. So this could be a problem. So I'm going to show you three scenarios where learning could be applied. And in the fourth, it'll be a mixture of the three. So we'll have some diagrams and some use cases. First one is self-optimizing contracts. A contract might optimize for greatest margin, or minimum waste, or constant deal flow, or some other criteria. And because it's a learning system, the results would improve over time. Here's a hypothetical diagram. We have some user interface. There's this dispatcher. So this smart contract's purpose is to take an event and forward it to the appropriate contract, which will then manage an oracle where machine learning happens, where it does the optimization. Okay? So there's no machine learning here. There's no machine learning here. There's only machine learning here. And this isn't blockchain. So what we have is a smart contract forwarding to another smart contract, and then that is basically the interface to some machine learning system. So this is one kind of scenario. And if this works, oh, it worked, how nice. here are some different kinds of machine learning which might be appropriate for this scenario if you can't read it. Genetic algorithms, evolutionary strategies, simulated annealing, Gaussian adaptation, hill climbing, swarm intelligence, and integer linear programming. Okay, next use case for machine learning and blockchain, fraudulent event detection. So right now, if you have a smart contract, all the events that are sent to it get processed. But what if there's a bad guy out there? What if some of these events aren't real? What if they came from your competition? All the smart contracts that have ever been written to date, to the best of my knowledge, will accept every event. Well, this might not be desirable. So fraud detection, as employed by credit card companies, does use machine learning, and they do a lot of this. They've really become very sophisticated. Incorporating machine learning into smart contracts could make them somewhat more resistant to fraud. Here's a little diagram. We have a variety of user interfaces. We have this, what I'm calling a gateway smart contract. It's talking to some service, an Oracle, which employs machine learning. And the question posed by the gateway is this event good? And the Oracle says, no, discard it. Is this event good? Yes, forward it to the actual contract where something happens. There is no machine learning required here. It only happens in the Oracle. However, you should know that there are false positives and there are false negatives, and you cannot optimize for both. You can optimize for false positives if you're, in other words, we flag something erroneously as being a problem and throw it away. And if you have a scenario in your business where making a mistake and classifying it as an error mistakenly is less traumatic to your business than the opposite scenario, then you will know whether you need to optimize for false positives or false negatives. But you cannot optimize for both. You're going to have some errors, and you're going to have to live with that. Okay, so the next use case here is an automated customer service agent. I'm talking about chatbots and Alexa, all kinds of voice interaction. And this is actually where your machine learning is. It's in the user interface. This gives you a very nice, natural scenario where you could order things. So you could talk to some device. Maybe it's got the user interface built into it. And somewhere unknown to you, behind the scenes, there is a smart contract doing the purchasing. So here's a sample diagram. We have two different user interfaces talking to a variety of smart contracts, and there's no machine learning necessary here. I mean, it's possible. There's nothing wrong with that. But in order for this to work, the only machine learning is actually happening in the user interface. So this last use case is a combination of some of the ideas I put together before. There will be nothing new here. You'll just see a different, I've stirred slightly, okay? Oops, and right. So in this scenario, we have a smart contract which is mediating access to an expert system or an Oracle. So the smart contract accepts money from a patient. It's been anonymized, we hope. Passes the data to the expert system. The expert system does the analysis, comes back with a diagnosis, and then the smart contract does the billing. So we have a variety of user interfaces. We have a dispatcher which routes the request to the appropriate expert system. Maybe you have a whole bunch of them. And the learning is here. And this is probably using pre-trained data because you want to have a consistent diagnosis after all. There's no machine learning anywhere else necessary, although you could have a more complicated system. But here's what I have to say about complicated systems. Well, actually, before I get there, let's just take a second to think about what is learning. Learning might be trial and error with some kind of feedback. And learning could be training. In other words, computers learn kind of the same way we do, in a sense. Here's I went to Wikipedia. I looked at all the machine learning types that were there. I removed the ones that I didn't think applied to blockchain. This is what's left. So you can go to Wikipedia and see that. And learning cannot happen on the blockchain. There are strong financial disincentives to prevent that from happening. You need too much data, you need too much processing. So it will always be off-chain. It's just always going to be that way. And here's some applications. Again, I went to Wikipedia. I pruned a bit. This is what was left. These slides will be available, I imagine. Okay, so here's the thing I was going to start to mention before. Caution. This is a conceptual graph. This isn't an actual graph. The shape of this is open to discussion. But what I'm trying to say is, if you have no features, you hear? You could have very few security issues. But as you add each little feature, the combination rapidly takes off into the sky, and you have much greater risk. So in other words, more complicated systems are less secure. So guess what happens when you add a very complicated thing like AI to a very complicated thing like blockchain? You have terrible security. That's what happens. So there are, again, I'm oversimplifying. There are things that you could do, but my basic message is fewer features, more secure. And that is a problem for this kind of application. So along to the next thing, we have this language for smart contracts for Ethereum. It's called Solidity. Doesn't that give you a sense of confidence? Solidity. You can trust something called Solidity. What if I told you that's not true? Solidity contracts are difficult to make secure. There is no formal verification available now. There's work underway for that. The type system of Solidity is primitive. It doesn't. It doesn't allow. You can't tell an address from a hash. It's just some kind of integer. You can't. You can assign a digest to a signature. Well, you should not be able to. So Solidity is good marketing, I suppose, the name. But I don't trust contracts written in Solidity. You cannot retrofit security. Secure systems must be designed to be secure from the start. If you try to make something more secure, you can only provide incremental improvements. 10% more secure, however you measure that, I don't know. 50% more secure. Oh, 100% more secure. But what you need is orders of magnitude more. And that's only possible when you design it from the beginning with very few features. Okay, so you need a fresh start. You can't make Solidity a little bit better. You have to throw it away and start again. Okay, so what would that look like? And I just want to say that in these next two slides, I have no financial interest in these companies. I don't know anybody there. I'd be happy to meet them, but I'm not selling you anything, okay? So the first language is called Pact, and the platform is called Cadena. Pact, the language, is functional, interpreted, a Lisp-like syntax. If you're a programmer, as I am, this might mean something to you. Otherwise, don't worry about it. It has good type inference. Again, this is for programmers. And it's oriented like stored procedures on an OLTP system. It is deliberately not Turing complete. This is a security feature, which means you cannot run arbitrary programs. And it runs on this blockchain by Cadena. So that's one thing that is interesting to me. And the second one is Axlang. It's a smart contract language designed to support formal verification. It is actually implemented as a domain-specific language written in Scala, which happens to be my specialty. And it's designed to scale. I'm kind of interested in that, but it's not quite ready. When, I'm not sure. It's coming. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And next, let's welcome Gelei Chen, the founder of Async Network. His topic is Async and Bottos AI Developer Community.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gelei Chen. I'm the project lead and founder of Async Network. So Async Network is a group of developers coming from the Bay Area. We have 20 plus engineers from Google, Apple, Facebook, LinkedIn. They are all senior people, like a manager, director, level 5, level 6 engineers. So we are constantly learning and all the blockchain technology and trying to apply our technology and influence. So far we have built a GitHub open GitHub repository. So a little bit introduction about my personal background. So I'm the smart contract developer and the contributor developer of Hyperledger. So previously, also right now, I was a venture partner at Skylight Investment. It's a traditional equity-based investment. We have invested over 160 companies in China, and 3 of them went public. 14 investment in the U.S. So as a developer, I am a three times winner of Apple's Global Award. I also attend Apple WWDC twice. So as an iOS developer. So previously, I was an AI data scientist at AI Sense and the iOS director. A little bit introduction about AI Sense. So AI Sense is an AI company where we focus on far-field, multi-person speech recognition product. We're trying to sell our product to Zoom or Bridgewater. So Zoom is a unicorn. They just turned unicorn last year. Zoom is one of our clients. Zoom is a video conferencing company similar to Skype and Google Hangout. So after the partnership, basically, if you finish a meeting on Zoom, you got all the meeting transcription, meeting notes in real time. You see who says what at when for all your Zoom meetings. AI Sense is invested by Li Kai-shing, actually. So Li Kai-shing, his personal fund called Horizon Venture is our Series A investor. Li Kai-shing and Tim Draper and Bridgewater. Yeah, Bridgewater is both our investor and client. So yeah, this is our developer community. We have around 20 plus developers, engineers, and they are alumni of Target University, including blah blah blah, and they work in all those companies. And they win different mass competition, ACM, WWDC, hackathon, blah blah blah. And yeah, basically we have a lot of industry experience and practice. So we want to help Bottos build the whole ecosystem, and we want to help Bottos to create more impact both in blockchain and the AI industry. Specifically, we're gonna help Bottos to build a data change marketplace, and we're gonna put some initial data, NLP, image, speech data, and also we're gonna put some AI model onto the Bottos ecosystem. Yeah, so that's about it. Thank you.
Our last part is a pitch part. First, let's welcome Mr. David Stoll from HPC Network. We will have 7 minutes to present your business plan, and we will give 3 minutes to the audience for any question the audience would like. Okay, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. I am not a coder. Actually, our coders are actually still over in China, and so. But they did ask me to call it. They were supposed to come over, but they just died. So I'm the business development manager for HPC Network. Under smart health, looks like we have our old slide here, but it's all right, that'll work. So HPC network is a tokenization of the existing transaction system of the healthcare industry, emphasizing on speed, transparency, and security. It's first a token designed to be implemented with existing healthcare IT systems, and then ultimately being developed into a full-blown platform that's transparent, upfront, and open for open transactions for healthcare systems. Let's see where we are. So now in terms of the size of the American healthcare system, there's a $3.4 trillion industry and is expected to reach $8.7 trillion by 2020. The challenge with this industry, as we all know, is that it's fundamentally broken with complexity, lack of transparency, and its inefficiencies in the way in which it operates. One of the biggest key challenges is the system revolves around medical coding, and the coding terminology like ICD-10, all of these different CPT and others. They're the lifeblood of the billing process for hospitals, and ultimately, hospitals lose $125,000 every single year. 80% of those errors are hospital coding errors, and that's what we're really kind of focusing on. In fact, there's over 200,000 different codes that exist for medical procedures. There's an entire niche industry that is designed around helping hospitals and providers to eliminate these coding errors. Furthermore, coding is a challenge for physicians because there's really no crossover. What they're left with is they do the procedures, they write up their codes for medical practice, and then they have to turn around and do another code for the billing purposes. HPC Network's first goal is to develop a better healthcare transaction protocol for medical coding. It is in the specific element that the healthcare system, that HPC Network can truly benefit from a blockchain initiative. Trustless, audible, and secure transmissions with specific financial incentives aligned to it. The token will improve physicians' and hospitals' revenue, be enacting a much shorter transaction versus the current 30 to 210-day reimbursement cycle. Current delays and errors obviously creating all of these different cost failures. In addition to that, in developing a better transaction system, HPC Network will also enable better transactions and ultimately create a platform that insurance payers and healthcare providers and patients can all interact successfully. The ultimate vision of HPC Network is to allow for an open universal access to purchase a coin, and then that person that purchases the coin, you can access any facility around the world. The first real goal of HPC Network is to eliminate the existing healthcare, is to emulate the existing healthcare IT systems, and the coin itself will act as the primary transmission for medical coding on the back end. Additional functions will be added to it later. HPC Network is extremely excited by the benefits of using the Bottos public chain. The decentralized data marketplace creates the trust by the users and reduces the cost that HPC Network will use. The security and computer power of the Bottos public blockchain are essential. But ostensibly, one of the biggest keys is obviously, and when you're talking about medical data, is with the Bottos blockchain, public blockchain will be able to still encrypt and can protect users' patient healthcare information by just taking a little bit of information to the blockchain in order to create those transactions, but ultimately protecting the privacy of the patients. And that's pretty much what our presentation is.
Okay, thank you. And next, I want to ask some audience. Do you have any questions for David Sol from HPC Network?
Yeah, I have a question. How are you going to
Could you
get
please?
the the payers how are you going to get the payers to accept tokens and change systems over? Number one. Number two is how does the token and how does it work?
I mean, again, I'm not the coder, but ostensibly the token's going to work on the back end, so the medical well, when the provider actually will do the code, it's really. I would have to get back to you on. This is not. I was kind of called into this for this, so I apologize. I can't answer that question for you.
Is there anyone on that side of the classroom who needs questions? No? 1 second.
Do you have a website where we can find out more about your company?
We just rebranded and we're launching HPCnetwork, .org, but it's not up yet.
There's a question over here. I saw him. Do you have a question, sir? Okay, thank you. Our next guest, Mr. Manish Sinha. His project is called Gift on the Go. Gift on the Go allows you to choose from a wide variety of gift categories, such as flowers, chocolates, and gift cards, and so on. So it's the same. You have 7 minutes and 3 minutes Q&A. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I guess the number of audience is less. Yeah, that's all right. So we are a cross-border gifting platform. So is this the? Oh, which one is it? I can stand here. So we are a cross-border gifting platform, and we do gifts both online and offline gifts. So offline gift means anything that you want to send, for instance, cakes, flowers, cookies, chocolates, and stuff. Online gift is mostly to do with e-vouchers, gift card. So that's Gift on the Go. We were the first company from SOSV Accelerator. So SOSV is one of the companies that has been one of the VC firms that has been invited by SVIF on 30th. And we were the first company that actually was selected in their first accelerator program. This is just how it works. It's very simple. We will not get more into details about this. I'll talk about product more. So this is what we have done. Since our first accelerator, which was in early 2016, we have approximately more than 100,000 installs in 150 countries. We are currently delivering in 3 countries, which is India, Singapore, and Philippines. We are going to start in Vietnam, UAE, and as well as UK. So we are delivering in more than 100 cities, most of the Indian cities and Singapore, as well as most of the cities in Philippines. So we have more than 20,000 transactions. The transaction average order is around $8. When you look at the m-commerce platform, predominantly in places like India and Philippines, then the average deal size is around $3, $4. So we have done $8. On top of that, our main one of our main advantages is that we bring the vendors or merchants which are not online, which don't have any online language, we bring them online. So that is our one of the biggest advantages. And towards that, we have actually, our average order has actually, it would have been more than $10, but we want to take that hit and we want to make our platform more pervasive in these countries. So that's Gift on the Go for 18 months. This is all the statistics, which is quite good. Now we are coming up with Gift on the Go 2.0, which is Gift on the Go enabled by cryptocurrencies, AI, and few other remittance system and all that we are developing. So Gift on the Go 2.0 is a general platform which we have now, a little bit advanced of general platform, with a lot of aggregation choices for both offline and online gifts. And we are doing a lot of segmentation based on customers. So one thing, this is an AI session, and you guys have given us very good data about how do you do data mining and how to figure out the stuff. One of the questions that we get from our customer is, what is the end user going to like? So essentially, give me a recommendation engine for the end user. It's not the person who's buying gift, but the person who's receiving gift, what he will like. So that is the AI challenge that we are working on, right? So this is a unique kind of recommendation engine that we have to develop. And we are getting a lot of feedback. We do a lot of social learning. We do a lot of demographics and a lot of other things like that. But that's where if I say we have a lot of I would say roadmap for AI. But in a nutshell, our AI in a layman term has to be a recommendation engine which recommends gift at an individual level, not at a group level, not something like Amazon or eBay, or not something like whatever is existing now, but something much more involved, much more data driven, and much more data mined. So that is our AI engine. Now when we have blockchain powered, why did we intend to go to blockchain? That's the implicit question that anyone will ask. We work in different countries. We are in 3 countries. We want to go to 20, 30, 50 countries. It's very difficult to do a manual kind of, go on each country to have a, gateway, have specific, contracts for them. So smart contracts becomes our savior there. So that is one of the main reasons why we had to go to blockchain. Now again, we are a m-commerce platform, previously m-commerce platform, so adding cryptocurrency only adds value to it. So definitely we are going to have that facility, smart contracts with cryptocurrency. But if I want you guys to take one thing out of this, my presentation is this borderless gift cards. A gift card, we all use gift cards. Macy's have gift card, and many vendors have gift cards. Gift cards has an expiry period of 3 years. Gift cards cannot be used cross-border. A US gift card cannot be used in China, or vice versa. And if you have a gift card, it is for a particular vendor, you cannot liquidate it. You have to consume it. What we are doing on a gift card is that we are doing a gift card based on crypto. So for instance, any vendors, for instance Macy's, we will be gift card provider for any vendors. We will help them come on blockchain, get their gift cards on blockchain. Their gift card could be used anywhere in the world. It will never expire. On top of that, you can actually get liquidation out of that gift card. If you want to convert into USDT token, you can simply take money and not gift, if the receiver wants that way. So those are some of the very powerful benefits of having gift card, which is on the blockchain, backed by cryptos. So that is our after smart contracts, that's our phase second development. Then the payment remittance is one other element. Gifting payment is a important form of gifting. I mean, in India we gift money more than anything else. So definitely remittance is we want to include in that, and we want to do remittance of crypto. And this is actually getting pushed out because there's a lot of regulations that is stopping remittance for us to follow. So therefore, remittance, we cannot say, if we can be able to do remittance, in 6 months' time and whatever. It depends upon the law of the geography where the remittance is happening. So that is what we are going to do on blockchain. So I'll just take a minute to show our roadmap, what we have done and what we intend to do, because roadmap is very important. So this is phase 1, which we have already accomplished. We have both AI and web-based interface. We do offline and online gifts with a very good profit margin, more than 20% profit margin. So it's actually quite good. Going on the phase 2, which I think we are not here. Sorry, we are not here, but we are somewhere in the middle. So we have started in Singapore. We are doing testing. We are doing testing in Singapore. We are doing testing in Vietnam. We are doing testing in UAE. We have started in Singapore and Philippines. And we are doing blockchain migration right now as we speak. To start with on the crypto features, and then also working on the smart contracts and the gift cards. So we are talking to vendors. We have a couple of vendors that we are bringing their gift cards on our platform. One part of our AI engine is also very personalized and customized gifts. In terms of like if you want your name to be engraved on the gifts or something like that. So that's more personalization thing. That is addition more of a manual work than actual some reinventing the wheel there. So that is what is the main step of our phase 2. But if you look at this, we are growing not only horizontally but vertically as well. So tangentially, so on the slant-wise as well. In the geographies, we are going to expand in UK, US, Australia, and in other geographies. Just as soon as we come on blockchain, as soon as smart contracts, enables us to expand more. Then on the platform side, as I spoke before, AI engine, then social group gifting, remittance platform, and gift card platform. So those are some stuff that we'll be working on the platform side. And of course, our bigger needle here is this. Sorry, what is this? So the borderless gift card is another element that we are working very strongly on. We feel very positive about it, that we are going to go somewhere with that. Very simple business model. On a general stuff, it is just monthly fee. And fees per transaction. So if a vendor somewhere in the obscure city of India or Philippines, if he wants to come on our platform, he can very much come on our platform. We just take a fixed monthly fee, and per transaction we try to limit as much as possible. In terms of gift card, which is smart gift card, so someone like Macy's, if they want to come on our platform, then they have to just give us a little bit of activation fee. And we'll charge per transaction, which will be much less than what they pay for a normal vendor like Quicksilver or someone like that. And then we do a lot of support services. I mean, this service because we work with a lot of people who don't have expertise on online expertise or not online savvy. Some of them doesn't even have any online language. So that's one part of support services wherein we actually make some money out of it, although that's not our main money source. But definitely that's also one element of the business model. So we are backed by SOSV, that the accelerator which I mentioned is invited by SVAIF next week. This is the founder of William Baldwin. He's also one of our board members. Gmobi is one platform whose actually one of their chip goes in all the Android phones. And Mr. Amit Dey is one of the founders there. He's the ex-CEO of Bonjourno, and he's the MD of Gmobi. So they are also in our board. And MOX is a SOSV initiative. So we are backed by quite renowned people in the industry. Going forward, we are actually going to do upcoming ICO. It will be in a few weeks' time. We are doing a soft cap of 5 million and a hard cap of 50 million. And if anyone is interested to talk about it, we are interested in talking more about it. Please ask questions if you have. And we are also interested in figuring out how we expand in China. If not for crypto-based, then of course for our normal. We see China as one of the best gifting geographies for us. So we have not done anything there, and we look forward to some inputs from you guys, what we can do. Of course, it has to be in a phased manner, but yeah, we are ready, I guess. So this is all we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Sinha? Okay, so far away.
All right, I'll give to the sir first.
Here.
Yeah. For example, how will you convert a gift token to a US dollar, basically, a USDT, because that's illegal. That can lead to money laundering.
No, it's not. So if you look at that, right, there's two different elements of it. Blockchain itself provides you liquidity using USDT token, right? So we are not going to do anything whatever blockchain is not providing. There is a USDT token. So our gift on the go token, GOTG token, a user can buy a gift card on GOTG token or any other. We'll support platforms like Neo, platforms like Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Bitcoins and stuff. We'll support at least top 10. And inherently in an exchange, we are also talking to exchange, so we listed on exchange. So inherently on exchange, you can transfer, you can buy back, you can transfer it to USDT. That is what I meant by liquidity.
So each gift card will be ERC20 token?
Sorry?
Each gift card will be ERC20 token?
Yes, it will be ERC20 token. And it depends upon user what kind of choice he wants to have in that particular crypto choice. A user may want to have just Bitcoin or Ethereum or a mix of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Neo. It depends upon that. Or they can have gift on the go token as well. In that case, we give them more loyalty, like they can have some more loyalty points and get some benefits and stuff, discounts.
We have another question over there.
Yeah, this is related to your numbers that you say. The average deal you have is $8 per sell.
Yes.
And what is your customer acquisition cost?
Our customer acquisition cost has been, we started with 10 cities in India, right? So our customer acquisition cost has been, we have done some marketing. In Indian currency, if I say, then it is around 15 lakhs. That it has been like. We did marketing for first 10 cities, and we did promotions. We did a lot of mobile promotions, and our Gmobi, they are our partners. So we did a lot of Android-based promotions, for the handsets and all. So that is the only customer acquisition that we have done. After it was just word of mouth, and we have got downloads in 150 countries. So definitely, a lot of virality went from there. So that is our, and that is only in India. We have not done any promotion in Singapore. We have not done any promotions in Philippines till now.
And with that, you have 20% margin. Is that gross or?
No, it's so we have various forms of product, right? When I say 20% margin, the 20% margin I'm saying on the net average margin, right? Of course, that doesn't exclude our own human capital expense, right? But the margin varies, right? If I have flowers, then we get invariably more than 90% margin on flowers, right? Because flowers is very high expensive item, right? But if you go for a gift voucher, then we get 5% margin, right? Because we buy gift vouchers for someone like gift vouchers from Quicksilver or someone like that. They will give us less margin. But when we actually do our own gift vouchers on crypto, then we will be the provider. We will be the Quicksilver. So we will have much more higher margin there. But to answer you, currently, it is average margin. It varies from platform.
Understood. Thank you.
Sure.
Hi. So you said you're migrating to blockchain.
Sure.
So if you migrate to blockchain, there is a transactional cost, mining cost, and all those are involved. In spite of that, would the monetization work to scale up?
We will not be a mining token. Our token will not be mineable. Will not be mineable token. Will just be utility token.
Okay, but how about the transaction cost for blockchain?
So what transactional cost?
In order to move the APIs, you have to pay a price, right, for that?
I don't foresee that we will pay price for invoking the API, but there will be transactional cost on the on the commissions, right? If a commission user makes, so those costs is generally in a blockchain scenario in a crypto world is borne by the users, right? If you buy a Bitcoin, on a particular exchange, you pay. If you sell it, then you pay some commissions and all. So that's all what it is.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Any questions?
Yes.
When you do the ICO, because I know the SEC regulation here,
sure.
You can only do the ICO if you are funded right? In China, I think
Absolutely. So we are Singapore based. We are headquarters in Singapore. We are doing ICO in Singapore.
So I have a question here. So about the AI engine, where the data come from?
Very good question. Very, very good question. So the data, we do a lot of social listening, right? I mean, when users come to our platform, when they share the information, if you look at the first screen was, you can log in through your social media, right? So we do a lot of social listening as well, and we have gathered data from 2 years, more than 2 years. So a lot of data is coming from that. A lot of data a lot of data will actually is being developed and will develop as we speak, right? So that is as simple as that. But we get the consent from users using in our TNC to use some relevant data.
So one of the beauty of blockchain is you don't have to link between the identity and the account.
Absolutely.
Now, if you involve the AI, you kind of have to build a bridge between them. Otherwise,
absolutely. So towards that, Duncan said, right? I mean, in one of the panels that the idea has to be more blockchain to drive AI, right? So that's why we are focusing more. Just to start with, there's a lot of things we can do on AI when you actually segment at an individual level. But at this time, we are focusing on recommendation engine. That is where we want to go. Blockchain is definitely going to be, the superset of our implementation, and a subset of that will be AI. Sure.
We have time for one more question for today. Any question?
Thank you.
Oh, that's all for today. Thank you. For all of our amazing speakers, and we've come to the end of today's session. I suggest we give a shout out for our amazing staff, volunteers, and of course our speakers and our amazing audiences. Thank you so much. Thank you. We are here because of your support. See you next time.